Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Visit Worth It, a series where I share my review and my opinion for different video games that I have experienced. Today's video is about Marvel's Spider-Man, otherwise known as Spider-Man PS4. Marvel's Spider-Man is a 2018 action-adventure game developed by Insomniac Games, the studio behind the original Spyro trilogy, the Resistance trilogy, and the Ratchet & Clank series. The game is out for almost 2 years now, and it's the second best-selling game for the PS4 console, residing below Uncharted 4 and above The Last of Us Remaster. It might have changed now with the release of The Last of Us Part 2, but I'm not quite sure. If you haven't realized it yet, this game is all about Spider-Man and no other. Originally, when this game was announced, I was literally thinking, oh well, it's just another Spider-Man game. I played plenty of them, so I wasn't interested to it. However, it was late 2019 that I thought, you know what, for some reason I really want to experience this game. And so I went to my local store and bought the UK release copy with the additional case. And oh boy, was I in for a surprise. The game was so perfect that it managed to reawaken the Spider-Man fan within me that has fallen asleep after the Amazing Spider-Man 2 film. In fact, I fell so in love with this version of Spider-Man and his universe that I went as far as to get the Platinum Trophy, buy and 100% the 3 DLC arcs, buy a collector statue for it, and last but not least, read the entire novel which acts as a prequel to the game. First things first, since it's a Spider-Man game, one of the main attractions and the main components of a successful Spider-Man game is the web swinging. It's very important since it's something that you will be using throughout the entire run of the game. Without a doubt, Insomniac understood it and made everything they could to make the experience fun and unique. Needless to say, they nailed it. Swinging throughout New York never felt so pleasant and satisfying. It was so good that the only time I used the fast traveling was just so I could see the funny loading screens of Spider-Man being in the metro and to get the achievement of using it. Every spiderweb that Spider-Man shoots has to have a surface for it to connect to. While swinging, there are different animations that Spider-Man triggers when moving or when you use Spider-Man tricks. You also have the ability to build momentum and use it to build speed. You can also swing through poles and buildings constructions, very similar to how the Amazing Spider-Man 1 last scene was. The last important detail worth mentioning is how Spider-Man sounds when he's web swinging. Unlike when he's standing still or when he's in the ground, when he swings you can hear him finding it difficult to speak, mainly due to the air pressure. Honestly, web swinging alone is a 10 out of 10 experience. The combat of the game is fun. It's a fast-paced combat with a nice amount of fighting animations for both on-ground and mid-air fights. You fight the enemies with close combat skills, that is punching and kicking, and you dodge the incoming attacks based on when your spider sense starts tingles. The more intense it looks, the closer the landing the hit is. There are plenty of Spidey gadgets and specific suit power-ups that allow Spider-Man to have a lot of different battle styles that allow the player to use different game styles. You can try and speedrun the game using the web bombs and the wind blow for smaller enemies, use the spider hands and heavy hitting for bosses and heavy mobs, or you can create a stealth gameplay with stealthy web shooters, or a more paralyzing approach, or even a one-shot hit approach. There are plenty of styles that are worth replaying the game to find out your own unique style. There are also plenty of different animations for finishes and dodging animations. During battles, you can always use surrounding items to help you against your fight with the enemies, such as trash bins, boxes, and others. There is a number of mobs that need different approach than normal smashing. Others need to be stunned, others require you to attack them from the back, others allow you to disarm them first, and others just throw them up in the air in order to fight them. The game also has some real-time events that also give you massive action-based cutscenes to accompany them. Last but not least, each boss fight in the game is unique and memorable on their own rights. Simply smashing attack and webs will mostly help you to die quicker. You are required to find the enemy's weak points or the open windows that you can use in order to strike them. While in the topic of gameplay, it's fair to say that Spider-Man is not the only playable hero. Spider-Man is the hero who fights crime, but Peter Parker is a different story. Peter's playable sections require him to go into places and interact with a specific character. Some of his sections are in the lab where he works and you're required to solve 2 types of mini puzzles, and a few where you need to be stealth. Speaking of stealth, Mary Jane is also a playable hero, and she's all about stealth. However, unlike Peter and another character, she's different. You're solving puzzles, eventually you use spider buzzers to to distract the people and move to their location, or shock them when you get the shock weapon. Last but not least, you can also play as Miles Morales, another stealth hero, who, unlike Mary Jane, he is using a hacking machine to disable items or use items as a distraction for him to stealth and be unnoticed. Before closing the gameplay bracket, it is important to mention that you should do every side quest and additional missions. Collect every collectible items to trigger different pieces of lore, and also they give you points that you can use to upgrade your skills. Backpacks are filled with plenty of Easter eggs and references from movies, past games, and possibly future enemies, you never know. Taskmaster missions test your skills when it comes to combat, swinging ability, and stealth rescues. Harry Osborn's machines give you more lore and also understanding on plenty of the world's environment. Black Cat's missions, it's more of an exploration in order to track her down. Other side activities is that you infiltrate enemy bases in order to try to take them down. Whether they are Kingpin's minions, Phantoms, or demons, you complete a number of waves and you'll get rewarded with different items such as spider suits and power-ups. Last but certainly not least is the story. I will try not to spoil as much, so here it goes. This game's story is phenomenal and something that I would love to see on the big screen. Yes, it's very lengthy due to being a game after all, and that allows them to show more than a movie can in its 2-3 hours. But you can easily break the game into mini-arcs. You start the game as an already established and experienced Spider-Man who has been on the job for the last 7 years. He is a character who is struggling between his life as a crime fighter and as Peter Parker, who is constantly in trouble because of his other life getting in the way. Similar to Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2 film. Spider-Man is resulting in him being late to work, messing with his love story, and make people around him lose their reliability on him. As I mentioned, there's a well-written book called Spider-Man Takeover, which acts as a prequel to the game. In that 420 pages book, we know how Peter met and worked with Detective Yuri, how Spider-Man affects Mary Jane, and the bond between him and Harry. The book also has plenty of actions versus various of villains, and it concludes with his hate and planning to take down Fisk, which is where the game starts. Back to the game, as I mentioned, it has various arcs going on the main story and not side quest. Mr. Negative arc, the Sinister Six arc, the Apocalypse, and Dr. Octavius. It's great to see how all these villains react and act based on the world around them. During the game, we get to expect something that will probably come in the future games, and characters that when they appear in the next games are already well established, such as Miles Morales, on who I'll be making a video next, since it's the upcoming PS5 game. To end the normal story talk, the ending of the game is absolutely phenomenal and shows that heroes should make great decisions at the higher costs. The game also has 3 DLCs with their own story that, when played in order, made a complete turn of event. It took me approximately 5 hours to 100% each of them, so we're talking about 15 hours additional gameplay. This DLC explored the connection Black Cat and Spider-Man shared and how she is involved in a terrible problem with the mafia boss, Hammerhead, who is also being chased by Silver. This DLC brings new mobs to the game, new spider suits, and new side quests such as Snowball's Return and others. Overall, the game feels amazing and really fresh in compared to past titles. There are plenty of Easter eggs buried in items and in the city that makes it worth exploring and swing around just for fun. The game has a camera mode that is easy to use and has a variety of customizing options. Not gonna lie when I say that I have at least taken 400 pictures. There's a massive replayability value because, as I mentioned, you can search and custom abilities and gadgets to your own liking and choose whichever suit you prefer out of the 30 plus suits the game has to offer. These suits taken from the comics, shows, movies, and even originally created from Insomniac. Personally, I believe it's a game worth playing if you haven't yet. It's definitely raised the bar for future Spider-Man projects that are yet to come. That's all I have to say about Insomniac Spider-Man's, my 2019's best game experience. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and do tell me in the comments how you feel about the game. Have you played it yet? Have you not? Would you want to play it? And which is the Spider-Man game that you prefer the most? Till then, Thank you, take care, and I'll see you all in the next one. See ya!